Okay, so let's start off with Tableau sets today. I mean, you might have seen or gotten introduced in other places, but then let's go into basics of it and explore it at the basic level. So to start with, there are like groups and sets in Tableau. Groups are more like, an example that I can tell you to explain groups is subcategory and category in the sample superstore. So category is a group of subcategories. So as simple as that for group. Or a set of states, like United States is like divided into 4 regions: the Western, Eastern, Central, and South. So those are like all the regions are a subset of the United States country, or separate set of states are a union to create a region, something like that. So the groups are at a high level, that same thing, but sets give us a little flexibility on what we select. Like for example, if we take customers, so we can pull up customers who have the highest amount of profits in the last year. We can pull up the customers for a region. We can pull up customers for the whole regime that you're looking at. Like for example, there is a 4 years of data for a company that got established, and you want to see which customer is the highest performing customer, or which are the customers that don't do much business to us, for example. So such kind of random things that you want to do is what sets come in. At a high level, that's what you can look at it as business perspective. So let's look into what sets are. So they're a subset of data. They're almost like a group, but in a way they are different, like the way I give examples to explain. So you can use these subsets of data as good as a dimension once you create them. Okay, so mainly there are two kinds of subsets, categories, sets that you can create: fixed one and constant one. And also we are going to explore what a combined set is after we look at fixed and dynamic sets. Okay, so let's get into the details of what types of sets that we are looking at, and fixed sets, which are also called constant.
So
Yeah,
basically, Sapna, we are creating a group, but based on some condition. Is that correct?
you'll get to it once we look into
Okay.
examples. You will be clear. Okay,
Sure.
fixed sets are easy to create, but they have a constant set of values and cannot be modified once created. Fixed set, constant means once you assign a value to a particular thing, you can't take it back. It's almost like what you can say, a memory logged without being editable or something like that. Okay, or like what can I say? I can't think of an example on top of my mind, but yeah, once you create values, you can't edit, you can't add, you can't delete, anything that you can do once you have created. Okay, and then you can also use these fixed sets like a dimension of filter also. They come in very handy in analysis of other situations. Like for example, you are seeing a particular year revenue going very low or going very high, for example, and you know that specific set of customers are the main set of customers who contribute to the highest set of revenue in a particular state, and you want to see whether these customers are having the similar revenue this year also. So you simply go and check that before you can evaluate the overall system. Or when you're doing trial and errors, when you're doing some kind of analysis on a data, you want to do some specific pictures which may not be permanently used, but your temporary picture, something like a temporary set of data that you're looking at, something like that. Okay, if you look at an example, you can understand. So this is how we, I just gave screenshots to understand, but I'll go ahead and directly create an example here. So what I'm going to do is like going forward, until we discuss fixed set and combine, the dynamic sets, I'm going to use the top and bottom and customers example that we did so that you can relate to it better. Okay. So for example, I want to create a fixed set on customer name. So one thing that we need to remember is sets can be created on one single dimension. Okay. So you go to that particular this thing. If you want to create here, this is an option. But then if it is fixed set, you have to choose the data because I told you, right? It's a constant data. So for example, let's take customer and sales for that customer. And we want to look at the top sales, top 10 sales for the customer sales. So if we organize it, the first 10 records is what we are interested in. Okay. Let's select the first 10, count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're doing this tedious process of counting. You are selecting that data set. And then this pop-up comes. You just stay there for a second and this pop-up comes, and then you create a set using this icon. This Venn diagram is the representation of a set in Tableau. Okay, set is like combining things, so that's why they use a Venn diagram icon to be more appropriate. So once you do a create set, these values that you selected are got added here, and you kind of whatever, like say for example, fixed customer set, let's whatever the name you want to do, you do it, and then this fixed customer set came here. Okay, now if I put this in conditions, only those came up. So right now what I'm displaying in my view is the top 10 customers. Did somebody ask a question? Okay, so now we are only seeing the top 10 customers in the view. But for example, if I'm connecting to a database where data changes every year or every day, or for that matter every hour, if you're doing analysis on a day-to-day basis, some customers have specific or like some regions have top amount of sales and some regions don't, something like that, where data is dynamic. This will be useless for me because I can't edit this. If I go here, if I want to edit, all I can do is like I can remove these values. I can't do anything much. I can't add or anything. If you see here, you don't see any edit or add button here. Okay. So at this time, I want to see at this current point, these may be the top 10 customers for me, or these may be the top 10 sales for me, whatever you call it. But then that is for the ad hoc requirement that I'm having. I won't be able to use it anymore once I have to change some criteria. Okay. So now that we did this, let's go to dynamic sets so that we can explore the restriction that we have here, how we can achieve with the dynamic sets. Let's look at that one. It's clear on fixed sets, right? It is pretty simple concept. It's just an other activity that you use, which doesn't get extensively used unless it's a fixed data that you're working with. Okay. And then coming to dynamic sets, they are always created on a single dimension, like on a fixed data set, and it's also a specific subset of on the given dimension. But the flexibility comes in the way you choose it. You could either choose a specific selection by selecting values like you do.
So now one second before you go to dynamic set, I think you were saying that we couldn't find an example of fixed set, right? So can it be the suppose I decide the regions like eastern, western, south, and northern, and just add the number of states in that region, that will remain constant, right? State cannot
that can be used
that frequently.
That can
so
be used.
Example of having a fixed set could be that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, another example that I can suggest is like, for example, you are creating a list where you want to use specific 4 states that you're exploring. For example, you create, you display the sets like we talked about here. Instead of going to the sales level, you only display the customers here, states here, and select those 4 to 5 states that you're looking at by the order. Again, you have to select in that group only. You can't do separate selection. So that is there. And then you'll create that group, and you will use that group will be displayed here, and you will probably will come to actions, which is very strong. You'll understand later. In some situations like that, yeah, you can use it. This data doesn't change. Like we said, Komal, that's right. Fixed data can be used. But that is very limited applications that you have for that. So when you come to dynamic data set, that is where you have the flexibility. Like if we have to create the same way using dynamic data set, so I'll go to customer name because I'm using the dimension customer name for this. I'm going to create a set here. So customer dynamic set, I'm going to name it as for difference. Dynamic top 10 set or top n. Okay. Condition is where I will give conditions if I have to, by field, if I have to do that, whatever the condition. Like for example, this particular state belongs to the region, or whatever the region that I'm looking at. Anything that you want to do by under a field, you can use it here. And if you have to do by formula, you can only do this formula where you can use only that particular dimension. Like for example, customer name starting with, say, if I want to say customer name starting with starts with, yeah, and A, for example. Okay. Okay.
The comma,
okay, comma. So if I put this one in the row, I have the in-out, and in-out means it's inside of there is data inside of that set and there is data outside of it. So there is customers which start with A and customers don't start with A are also there. That is one way of displaying your set. And another way is show members in the set. So all the customers that started with A are being displayed here, if you see that. Okay. So now if I want to go ahead and edit that to change something, I'll go and just go simply do edit set, where I'll remove this condition for now, none, and then I'll go by top 10 because top 10 fields that you're looking at. So for example, the field that we are looking at is top, and then, okay, let me create a parameter first so that I could use the power of parameters also here, like the way, same thing that Komal showed in the last, sorry. Top parameter, current value 1, data type integer, display format automatic, range minimum 1, maximum 20, step size 1. Okay. So now if I go ahead and edit that set to use the top n customers, top, and I'm going to use the parameter here, and it is going to be sales and sum of sales. Okay. If I do this and show members of the list, you will only see, oh no, what happened? Did that condition also still apply? Okay, maybe I need to, I mean, it didn't get edited properly, I guess. Okay, now let's see. Oh, what happened? Let me create
You
a
do apply, okay? I don't know what happened. Can you do apply, okay?
I did apply only. Okay, let's create a new set. So if I create a set with top condition, or like, okay, top 10 customers. Top by field, top 10.
Jyoti, can you go on mute, Jyoti?
So, no. Jyoti, can you mute yourself? Okay, so here we have the customers and the respective fields. Now that is there. So we brought this into the Wiz by creating a dynamic set where at any time we can go and edit the conditions. We displayed based on sales now. We could display it based on profits, for example, or we can display something else, like whatever the conditions we have here. Top or bottom, or other conditions that you have here by field, where sales is greater than 100K, or any kind of conditions that you think about based on measure values, you can do here. But if it is by formula, one thing that you have to remember is you can only use the respective dimension on which you are creating a set on. So for example, if I want to write a condition where state equal to something in here, it won't give you an option. If I want to try state equal to California, for example, you see it's giving an error because this particular dimension is not what my set is on. Okay, so this condition will always have to be on the respective dimension. That is the only restriction that you have to remember. Okay, and the reason for that you'll understand when we go to combining sets. Okay, now that we created top end customer, we are displaying that, and we'll go for the next step of creating the top and bottom end. And before that, let's go and talk about combined sets. Okay, any more questions for dynamic sets so far?
Swapna,
Yeah.
like That's dynamic sets are something like filters only. You can use the conditions, right? What I
Yeah,
understand.
dynamic sets give you the flexibility of controlling what comes in there in many different ways. That is how it is different from fixed set.
No, I'm asking if you compare with filters, like you're just doing top, let's say top 10. So in filters also we can do top 10, but then thing is that here we can put condition, or in filter we can't use conditions, right?
Okay, if that is what you're saying, so one thing that I mean, the reason why sets come into picture is, like you said, it is similar to that. But then if I say for example, I'm creating a monthly report where I'll be probably using the set for 100 times. I can't go ahead and add filter every time, right? And then, show filter, select everything, and all those things will be there. Whereas if I create a set for my conditions, then I can go ahead and simply use it. Right?
Okay. Got it.
Okay. And then, any more questions? Can we go to combined set?
And
and
one more question. Sorry, continue.
So I was asking, like, if we are creating dynamic set using by applying some formula like state is equal to California, something like that, in that case, are they working as a fixed sets?
No, what I meant to say is like state equal to California won't work. You can't do that. That's what I showed you, right?
No, like customer name starts with A, something like that. So in that case, are they working as a fixed set or not?
No, we can change that condition at any time, right?
Okay.
Here we gave that condition at edit set, right? We went to the edit set option and we added that condition here. So at any time we can go and remove that condition and put some other condition like top n or bottom n, or where fields are greater than 100, or profit is less than 0, where there is no profit and we are incurring costs or something like that. Anything that we could do. And this is only on customers. You could do on anything else.
Okay.
Like yearly profit, if this particular I have a lot of losses, how many losses do I have, or what is contributing to my losses, for example. I can have various many scenarios in a business perspective which I can use here.
Okay.
So, Sapna, if I say the fixed set is working on the view, right? You select the data from the view that you're showing, right? But the dynamic is something working at the source level, right?
Yes,
is it
that's what.
right way of saying?
Yeah. You can say that at a high level, yes, because you're only looking at the basics of the sets now.
Yes.
I mean, dynamic sets and then combined sets comes in, which is also giving a little bit of flexibility for us to combine. And then the biggest thing that we have is actions, which we can understand and use it perfectly only if we understand the basics of sets. So I may not be having time to introduce actions at a very detailed level, but I'll try to give you a small chunk of exposure to it so that you can explore it offline for that. Okay. So let's proceed to combined sets. And for combined set, what I'm going to do is, like right now we have the top end, I'm going to use the bottom end also. The combined sets, that one thing that we have to remember. So keep that in mind so that you'll understand what I'm talking from a theory perspective. Okay. True sets can be combined to make a combined set. Like combining words say, you're combining more than one set. So there are two conditions for it. It has to be both the sets are on the same dimension. Like for example, if I have to combine top end and bottom end customer, I'm going to be able to combine it because they are both going to be created on the dimension in customer name. Got it? If I were to create one dimension, I mean, one set on customer name and one set on state, for example, I won't be able to combine that. They have to be on the same dimension. Okay. And then another thing is, like, for you to decide how you want to combine. It's as simple as the Venn diagram formula that you have used as a child. Like you could use inner join, or you could omit the common factors and take the remaining one, or you could use the left outer join, or you can use the right outer join. Got it? So that will explain it, I mean, explore in detail once we start creating one. So once the combined set is created, it's as simple as the way you use the dynamic set just now, except that the editability of that is still going to be residing on the individual sets that we use to create the combined set. So let's create another set here, like for the bottom end customers.
Swapna, it's combining set is something like union operation inside?
Yes, union, but in different ways, like the way you learned, right? In a Venn diagrams, whenever you create, you have the exactly. That's the exact format that is used here. It's as good as a table joins in Tableau. I don't know how many people would have gone through table joins in Tableau. but it's as simple as that. Okay.
Okay.
We'll talk about it once we start creating the dynamics, news dynamic set. I'll talk about it, but let me create this parameter first. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to create another set on customer name, bottom and customer I'm saying. And then here by field, I'm going for bottom. I'm selecting the bottom parameter, sales sum. Okay. Now I created bottom end, I have top end. So in one of the two sets that you have created that you want to combine, go there and you'll see create combined set. So the create combined set is what we are talking about. Once you select this option, you have these options here. So one thing you have to name it. So combined top end, bottom end, customers by sales. Okay. So here this is the first one because I selected the option through bottom end customers. This is the first that I'm going to use on the circles that you see here. This is the combination that I'm going to use. And here, if you see, I'm only seeing top end. In this particular Tableau workbook, I started new. That's why I only have these sets that we created now. But if in case you had other sets like we talked about, you will only see sets that were created on this particular dimension here. If you had any sets created on state or region, for example, they won't even come here because sets can always be created on a particular dimension only. So once you select the two sets that you're combining, you select the option. So here we are going to combine everything because as it is, top end and bottom end are not going to match for our data set, for example. And if you want to display all of the combined members, then accordingly. So this is only common members. This is all the combined members. This is the left one only without the combined. This is the right one only without the combined. Just the diagrams directly show you. You don't need to be confused about it. Okay. So now I'm going to remove top end customers from my view, and I'm going to put combined here. And I'm going to use the members here. What happened? I'm supposed to be getting both the sets, right?
Filter. You have a filter, right? Top end customers.
Yeah, I was going to do this. Let me create a fresh view. Okay.
Also, what are the values of bottom and top current values?
There is about 10 of them. I did check that. But top end customers is failing now. No, this is top end, right? Oh, okay. Did I change the condition again here?
Can you define the value of top and bottom parameter also?
Yeah, parameter. That's what the problem is. I took one for bottom. So where did I change that? Okay.
Yeah, do show parameter. Do show parameter.
Yeah.
Or if you do show parameter, you see it. Yeah.
Where do we do show parameter for that? Okay.
Yeah, top.
Yeah, and then let me do that for the top also. Why is it still not increased? Okay, it increased. Okay. So now if I put sales, you can directly see the sales on the top and the bottom part. Or I think I should put profit to get the top and bottom by profit only. That is what we did, I guess. But you can see here. So this is what we did. The top 10 customers, and these are the bottom 10 customers. And if you put sales in color, by default, you'll have the color change here. So if it was negative profit, they would automatically go into the orange. It will look something like this one. Okay, yeah, here we did profit. So it will look something like this one. If you just go ahead and change the, so let me show that part. So in this combined set now, if you go to edit set, you can't edit anything apart from the joins that you're using on the respective set. The control of what goes into each of these sets will still stay there only. Like if we go and modify based on this top and customers by profit now, we'll get that view. Let's go ahead and change that. And the bottom and customers. So now you see that. And if you put profit in color, you'll get that view. So the exact view that we have here. And now this can be controlled also, like we talked about. So if we change the number of top and bottom, so we are combining the power of parameters into sets to get this view to be dynamic. Is it clear now? I know it was a little confusing in the middle because I did a mistake, but now we are clear of how to do a combined set and use that in displaying to control what we want, right?
Yes.
So any more questions on that before I proceed to show a brief description on actions, because we'll be running out of time in about 5 minutes if I'm not wrong. Can I go ahead with the actions now?
Yes, Sapna, you can go ahead.
Okay. So sets and actions, I didn't have much of it written, but I can show you in Tableau. So actions are something that you perform as good as, like, in Amazon, for example, you particularly hover your mouse on some specific color and the item shows in the bigger value, for example, right? So that's you are using your mouse to perform an action to highlight on a particular area for that to happen. So something like that is what you can achieve with actions. I did not completely explore on it, but I will show you examples of what I did. Like, for example, I'll show this first and then I'll create it in front of you again, okay? So what I did is I put sales of state and in the map format. That is the regular one. So what I'm going to do is, for example, if you see here, all the states are counted towards sales now. So if I want to count sales of particular set of states, like for example, I want to count only for these 3 states. I've already set up action in this one, so it will take care. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lasso selection here and select only these 3 states. So what it did is this particular view, the sum of sales are showing are going to be shown only for that state, for that subset of states that I selected. I selected these 4 states, and in these 4 states, this is the highest amount of sales, and this is this is second, this is third, and this is fourth. So if you stay for a second, you can see the complete detail of what got selected in your view right now. If you want to go back to your view, you're just clicking outside of the view. That's it. You're going back to the remaining one. So the way I achieved this is using actions. I mean, this is a simple show so that you can see the difference of what an action gives you, what power an action can give you when you combine with sets. Okay. Is that clear? Do you guys want me to do this and show you?
I want to see the implementation.
Okay. So first, let's create a set on state. Where is that? Yeah. Create set. And any one parameter, whatever, it will be changing later. So don't bother what you're selecting, just select. Okay. And then select the state. Okay. And then I'm going to put where is the state? Okay. State and sales in the columns, as simple as that. And let me get that map in the picture. What happened? Why is it showing this way for map? Okay. And then I have to put sales in color. What happened? Oh. Yeah, okay, I used the wrong option again. So we have the exact one that we had earlier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an action to set the color that we talked about. So go to worksheet. When you're in a particular worksheet, go to worksheet tab, go to actions. And then we add an action. And this can be done across worksheets that you have or this sheet only. So I'm just taking this sheet for example for now. Add action, change set values based on set we are doing. So we are using the change set values option here. And we are going to do set color, for example, just to represent what I just showed you. And then it is going to work on sheet 3. I didn't name it, so I'll give it that way. And I'm having these options. So this is what I was talking about. In the Amazon website, you hover on it and you see that selection maximized or something like that, right? So that is what hover is. Here, just to be non-sensitive to show to you guys, I'm still selecting the select option. And then the target set I'm going to add into is the selected state set that I just created for you. So that's why I said, whatever you select in that set doesn't matter because it will automatically change once we start doing actions. Okay. So what happens is when you run this action, it will assign the specific values that you connected. So I was doing the lasso selection, right? So when I selected those values, it assigned those values to this set, particular set that we have assigned to it. And if we come out of that set, you're adding all values to the set. Ultimately, it came back to the original one. Okay. If you're selecting, it will select that state. If you're not selecting, it will go back to the original one. So if you do this, this is done. Now let's go ahead and see. We did the same thing again. See, it's changed now. Okay, so now you see that, right? 22,795. You can see the whole total coming only for those states, not all the states. So I'm restricting the way it's actually looking at details, and I'm giving the selection just by the use of a click on my mouse. That's a simple demonstration of what an action can do. So I'll give you an example what I picked up from Tableau. Let me see if I can pull that quickly for you guys. I'm gonna open that one. I know you're not seeing anything. I'm just trying to pull out a file, okay? Where did I leave that? Okay. I haven't completely worked on it, so I can't show a finished product from my side. I'm just showing the Tableau public one so that you can relate better. You can see this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here what you can do is, like, for example, I click on this one. I was talking about the select part, right? So we are explicitly selecting here. So hover, select, whatever that comes into picture. I explicitly selected a particular target date. Say, for example, current target date I selected is 9/1. So up until now in 2017, year-to-date sales got changed. Year-to-date sales prior year at that date got changed. So what you can see here is you are trying to analyze how the sales are so far this year compared to last year. So you can see that this year sales are lesser than last year. You're basically making a comparison. And you're seeing what the sales are since prior day, like for the past 24 hours. And percentage change from same month prior year. Like for example, you are doing the selection for September month, right? So in September month, what is the last year's sales and this year's sales? Right? So this is more powerful when you combine it accordingly. So in this one, what they did is they created a lot of calculations where they are basing the selected date that you selected into that calculation. Like for example, year-to-date sales, if you look. There is, yeah, year-to-date sales. If you see the calculated field, one thing that I want to show here is if year order date.
We cannot see the calculated. We cannot see the calculated.
Okay. Okay, I think that is the last one I want to share. So this one. You can see this one right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what they did is, if target date is where your selection goes to. Okay. If year of order date equal to year of target date, and date rank is whatever the target date is, then sales. Otherwise, then don't return anything. So by doing that, you're only returning the target date sales and not other sales. I mean, sorry, target year sales. That is where the year comes in. The target date is the one that you are selecting into, like the way I showed you where we were selecting states. Okay, now I'm able to use the option. Finally, I did something on my Mac. Okay, so now you can see the Tableau, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just quickly show what I achieved so far so that it's easier for you guys to understand for what I'm doing. So what I did is here, it's not fine tuned. I'm just showing an example. So what I did is I selected a particular date here, say 6/15, I'm sorry, current date is 6/5. So 6/5, it is June 2019, right? So for June 2019, I'm displaying the sales by state in that order. So here I made a selection in a particular, so this one I did in this page, in this worksheet. And then sales for target month, I created in this sheet. I put them in the dashboard. Here I'm making my selection, and the respective next worksheet is this, like reflecting the value that I selected manually right now in the interactive dashboard. You get what I'm saying, right? Or is it still confusing?
Yeah, you're selecting a month and a date at one
Okay.
particular sheet,
So
and it is showing the sales of all
let
that
me
month.
go back to opening my Tableau public this thing. For example, file, save. Where do I have my Tableau public? So here I have my dashboard. Here I'm selecting target date. I don't have the worksheets in picture here. This is the dashboard that I'm displaying outside on public Tableau. So I selected target date. The fine tuning that I have to do is I have to display the month here instead of dates. If I do that, it'll look more appropriate. So I selected a particular target date. I'm supposed to be selecting a target month, but date as of now. I selected April 14 to 2019. So which means the month I'm in picture is April 2019. So the April 2019 sales is what I'm displaying here. So I edited the top format, the heading